In this lesson, we're taking a look at how to play We Are Family. This lesson is part of my Nile Rodgers lesson series where we're learning songs as we progress through his career. In the previous lesson, we had a look at a couple of Chic songs. Now we're into the Sister Sledge stuff, so still kind of late 70s era. If you haven't yet, I'd suggest going and watching the first video in this series, which you can find via the playlist in the description, where we go over all the techniques and chords that we're going to be using in these song lessons. I also want to mention at this point, before anyone points it out, in the medley that I played in the kind of introductory video to this series, for some reason I played this song in A flat rather than in the key of A. Not really sure why that is. Maybe I've played it in a band in the past or at university or something and we took it down a key for the singer. Not really sure, but you can download that drum track and actually play the medley more accurately than I did, so there's a bit of a challenge for you. Anyway, let's get stuck in. So we're starting with the chorus part. There's a 4-chord progression to play here, and I'm going to show you the 4 chords and then we'll have a chat about how they're played and the rhythm and the embellishments and that sort of thing. So the first chord that we need is an A chord rooted on the 12th fret of the A string, just using obviously an A shape. The next chord is going to be a G, so literally take that shape and move it down 2 frets. Now rooted on the 10th fret of the A. Followed by a D using an E shape, so rooted on the 10th fret of the low E string. And the last chord, a little bit of a more odd one, it's an F over G, which is a first finger bar on the middle 4 strings on the 10th fret. So the way to think about this one is to imagine your F chord using an A shape, so 3rd finger is barring the D, G and B strings, but if I bar all 4 strings including the A, that's my little F triad on top of the G note, which is on the 10th fret of the A string. Also in this one you might catch the top string sometimes. I guess that would technically make it an F6 over G, but that also sounds pretty cool. It all kind of fits into the song when you play the full rhythm. Now it's important to note that every chord is pushed, so they all come on the and of 4 from the previous bar rather than the main bar that that chord is played for. So if I take you through that, if I do a 4 count to guide us in, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 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 1, 2. So there's a little passing chord through the G at the end. So once you've barred the F over G, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1. So you're hitting both of those chords on offbeats. The G is coming on the and of 3 and then to the A on the and of 4, which repeats the progression. Going into a little bit more detail now, once you've done the pushed sustained strum, you're going to do a staccato down strum on beat 2. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2. Following this, you're going to do a muted down up, both 16th notes. So that would sound like this. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2. And that just allows you to get your fingers in the position for the first embellishment, which on the A is going to sound like this. So just a couple of little bar chords on the top strings. We're using the 3rd finger to bar 14th fret on the G, B and high E chords. That's a down strum. Then 1st finger is barring the 12th fret on the same top 3 strings. That's going to be an up strum. So you get this nice little... Really important that you keep the other strings either muted or just avoid them with the pick. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm using the tip of whatever finger's doing the bar to mute the D string underneath, and then I'm not going to get that horrible note underneath my nice bar. So Same, the first finger is barring the top 3 strings on the 12th fret, but touching the D string to keep it nice and muted. So that would be the embellishment for the A. We then move to the G. Little bit easier this one. All you're going to do is pop the little finger down on the B string, do a sus4, and then back to the G. So we've got the A, G. So just a little on-off with the little finger there, giving you that sus4 embellishment. The D chord doesn't seem to have any embellishments in. You can just play that with the same rhythm. And then moving on to the F over G, which is the same sort of thing, but obviously we've got that G passing chord in there as well, so that kind of acts as the embellishment. So we've got the A chord with the little bars up top, then we've got the G with the sus4, the D just played normally, and then the F over G with the little G passing chord. And if you put all of that together, I would start by getting that down first as kind of the core rhythm of the part you're going to be playing, and from then on you can add extra strums if you feel like it. There's a lot of improvised rhythms going on throughout this whole track, so just get the 16th note strumming going in the right hand and try and just let something cool come out without thinking about it too much. To give you a quick example of what I'm talking about there, if I add a bit more 16th note strumming in with the right hand, you might get this sort of sound. It's definitely not the same every time, there's no specific pattern, it's just a case of getting in the groove and letting it happen, and that's the main part for the chorus. And now it's time for the verse. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take you through just the basic chords and then we'll have a chat about the embellishments. The verse starts just over 1 minute into the song, so you want to make sure you can tell when it's coming in and anticipate it and make sure you nail these changes. Don't let the verse start and then you're still playing the chorus and then, oh, I've got to find where I am and all that sort of stuff. Try and absolutely nail it, get the structure in your head. So the verse chords, we're starting with just an A bar chord rooted on the bottom string this time, so a bit of a lower sound than the one up here. Using an E shape. That comes in just on the beat. Following that, we've got an E minor 7 rooted on the A string, which comes on the and of 4, so it's another pushed chord. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. After this, we have another push chord, which is going to be a D9. Remember, you can swat up on all the chords in the first video in the series if you're not sure how to play any of these. But the D9 chord is going to come in on the and of 2 of that second bar. So we've got A, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and E minor 7, and 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 1. Important to note that the A chord always comes in at the start of the bar. There's a bit of a temptation to push it and have like and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Actually sounds really cool, but it's not what happens in the song. You've got to make sure you hold the D9 until the end of the bar, then come in with the A at the start of the next bar. So and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. So that's the main chords and rhythm of the verse. If we have a chat about some of the embellishments you can throw in now, over the A you can throw in the same little bar as was on the A in the chorus, the little bar movement up there. So that would sound like this. On the E minor 7, a nice little embellishment is to use the little finger to double up on the 7th of the chord on the top string. So that would be just popping it into the 10th fret. So you'd have. That's a little move that he does quite often, and there's a nice little thing that he does over the D9 sometimes, which is this. Again, we're using more 3-string bars on the top string. First finger is doing 5th fret, third finger is doing 7th fret, and it's 1 hit on the 5th fret, 2 on the 7, and then back to 5. Making sure that the right notes are made staccato. So I'm doing sustained, staccato, sustained, staccato. Da dum dum dum. That's the little rhythm on that one. So if you put all of that together, and the idea with these embellishments is that you can kind of just throw them in whenever you feel like it, just for a little bit of variation. Because these parts repeat for quite a while. There's only 2 parts in the song, so you got to kind of spice them up a little bit from time to time so it doesn't get too repetitive. And those are all the parts for the verse. So if I give you a little bit of a demo, I'm going to start with just the basic chords on the correct beats with the pushes, so you can hear that. And then I'll gradually add in some of the embellishments so you can get an idea about how to build up the kind of harmonic interest in this part. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. So have a bit of a play about with that progression, and that is your verse part. And that leaves us with only one more part to look at, which is this kind of full band synchronized climb, which sounds like this. Pretty cool part. In the original song, this happens at 3 minutes and 12 seconds. I made a note to write it down, and then you can go and find it in the song and hear how it fits in. But when Nile Rodgers plays it live, because they include it in the cheek set nowadays, they use that as an intro, which is a pretty cool way to start the song as well. So nice little part to know. What we're doing here is we're starting with that D9 that we had in the verse, and this is going to be pushed. So again, this is going to come in on the and of 4. We're then going to just move it up 1 semitone at a time. So we've got D9, we've got D sharp 9, E9, F9. So the F9 is sustained for a little bit. We then move up a tone this time rather than a semitone. So we're on a G9 here, up to a G sharp 9, and then finish on an A9. So we've got, and that is the little climb that the full band does. So try throwing that in as well. Really cool parts in this song. Great one to jam along, as all these Nile Rodgers songs are. But yeah, that is We Are Family. Enjoy. So there's all the parts for We Are Family. This is going to be the first of a few Sister Sledge songs because there's some great guitar parts that he played in that band. Remember, you can download diagrams for all the chords that we're using in these lessons on Patreon via the link in the description, and you can find the Nile Rodgers series on my channel page. Feel free to subscribe if you enjoy the lessons and find them helpful, and hopefully I'll see you for the next one.